I know the last couple numbers there from the last lesson were cut off due to the time constraints of this program. If you're not quite sure how to finish that one off, just let me know. We'll start with lesson 1.3, simplifying radicals. I have here a chart with some perfect squares, perfect cubes, perfect powers of 4. I think you need to have these memorized. I mean, if you don't know that, for example, 3 squared is 9, or say 9 squared is 81, or 6 cubed is 216, this is going to be a very difficult unit for you. I think you need to spend some time memorizing this chart. And reality is, I'm sure you already know 1 to 15 squared. Okay? If you don't know these, you're just, I'm going to say it straight out, you won't be able to do this next lesson. You will not be able to. Okay, so you need this in your toolbox. You need to have this memorized. You need to have this really quick at your fingertips. Okay, so how do you memorize? Well, everybody's different, but one of the things you probably want to do is write them out. Okay, don't just do it in your head. Write them out. So in your head, say, what's 1 squared, what's 2 squared, what's 3 squared, what's 4 squared, what's 5 squared. Keep going through that and write them out repeatedly, a couple times a day. Okay? Do it. You won't be sorry if you do it. Why do you need to know that? Well, today we're going to learn about simplifying radicals. Okay? Some language to start. I will be referring to this, and there will be a multiple choice question probably. When you see this radical symbol, this is called the radical symbol. This tells you what root to take. If you see nothing there, if you just see the square root, this assumes that there is a 2 there. Okay? But you're often going to see something like a 3 or a 4. Okay? It can be something different. That's the index. The radicand is what is inside the radical symbol. Okay. So, very quickly, if you look at this, this is the square root, and 80 is the radicand. And what it's asking us to do is to simplify. This does not mean grab your calculator and tell me what that equals. Anybody can do that. That's not a skill. That's not understanding math. All right? When you think about this is the root of 80, it's saying what two numbers multiplied that are the same gave you 80. Now, if this was the root of 81, you'd know that's 9. Okay? So the root of 80 is a little bit less than 9. Again, that's not what this is asking. It is not saying estimate the radical. It is saying to simplify. Okay, this is new. So what you need to do is you're going to divide this radical into 2 parts. The first part is going to be the part that is the perfect square. The second part is what's left over. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to think of 80, and we're going to use some language that we've been using for the last little while. Can you think of the factors of 80? And then I want you to think about which is a perfect square factor of 80. So let's do this really slowly. Factors of 80. 1 and 80, 2 and 40, 3 and, no, not 3, 4 and 20, 5 and 16, 6, no, 7, no, 8 and 10. Those are the factors of 80. Are any of them perfect squares? 4 is, 16 is. Which one of those is larger? Okay, that's the one you're going to write here. Now, 16 goes into 80 how many times? 5. 16 times 5 is 80. So we haven't changed anything. We're not lying. 80 is still equal to 80. We're just writing it a different way. And why do we do that? Because I know the root of 16 is 4 times the root of 5. This is what we call a simplified radical. We've taken out what is a perfect square, and when I say take out, we're dividing out, and we're rewriting it in a different form. It is still equal. It just looks different. Okay? Let's try another one. Okay, before we do B, I'm going to give you Let's call it AA. All right, I'd like you to do root 50. Simplify that. What is a factor of 50 that's a perfect square? And then what would be left over? Okay, what do you think? Does everybody see that 25 is a factor of 50 and it's a perfect square? And then 2 is left over? Would it be okay instead of 25 and 2 to write 10 and 5? Well, no, because 10 is not a perfect square and neither is 5. One of my numbers has to be a perfect square. Okay, so that's why I'm choosing 25 and 2. And what is the root of 25? It's 5 times root 2. Okay, let's do the next one. Same idea, except this time we're dealing with cube roots. So let's factor 144. The problem is factoring gives me, well, you'll see in a second. Let me write it out. 1 and 144, 2 and 72. Does 3 go into there? Yes, it goes in 46 times. Let's just check that quickly. No, not 46. 48 times. And 4, does 4 go into there? Yeah, 4 goes in 36 times. 5, no. 6, yeah, 6 goes in 24 times. 7, no. 8, yeah. 8 goes in 18 times. How about 9? Yes, 9 also works. 9 goes in 16 times. 10, no. 11, no. 12. Yeah, 12 times 12. Okay, now it's possible that you were struggling with that a little bit. It's a little bit harder for you to do. Well, process of elimination, go through them if you have to, and you say, okay, does 8 go into 144? Well, let me try to divide. 8 goes into 14 once. Okay, and then we have 64. 8 goes into 64 18 times. Okay, it might take you some time to do it, but we need to be able to do that. All right. Those are factors. It really hasn't helped me much because I still need to know the perfect cubes. This is the hard part about it. Okay, this is why I was kind of hesitating there for a minute. Which of these numbers are perfect cubes? Well, you might need to list the perfect cubes. 2 cubed, 8. 3 cubed, 27. 4 cubed, 64. 5 cubed, 125. Well, that's too big already. We don't have to go any bigger. Are any of these numbers here? The only one I see is 8. Right? I don't see 27. I don't see 64. So 8 is the perfect cube. And 8 goes into 144 18 times. So this is 2 cube root of 18. Okay? You can tell this is probably going to take you a little bit of practice. You're going to have to get better at this. Okay? And it's going to feel hard sometimes. You can't give up. Work through it. Okay? I know you're capable. All right. Same idea, but now we're going to deal with the fourth root. Remember why I said you needed to memorize that chart? It's going to be helpful for you. Okay? Let's do this a different way. Let's just write the perfect fourth powers. 2 to the power 4 is 16. 3 to the power 4 is 81. 4 to the power 4, well, that's already pretty big. Too big, don't need that one. So the question here is only, do either of those go in evenly? I don't even need to write the factors. I can probably save myself that step. If some of you are going to be happy about that, that makes it easier. Does 16 go into 162? No. Does 81? Yes, goes in twice. Okay, that means I have the fourth root of 81, which is 3, and then I have the fourth root of 2. So this is 3 times the fourth root of 2. That is called simplified. Okay, I would like you to try these next few. Pause the video, give them a shot. Alright, hopefully you've tried. So I'm looking for the perfect square factor, and then what's left over. Is there a factor of 63 that's a perfect square? I think 9 is. That means I'm going to have 3 root 7. Okay, next I'm looking for the cube root factors. Okay, I got to do a quick refresher here. What are my perfect cubes? 8, 27, 64, 125. Too big. Does 64 go in? No. It's one of those two. Which one is it? It's 27. It goes in 4 times. That means this is 3 cube root of 4. Okay, next one. The fourth root times the fourth root. Again, I don't remember my fourth roots. What's 2 to the power of 4? It's 16. What's 3 to the power of 4? It's 81. 4 to the power of 4, it's already too big. It's one of those two. I can see 81 doesn't work. It's got to be 16. How many times does 16 go into 128? Is it 8 times? Yep, 8 times. So this is 2, and I can't do anything with this. Okay. Alright, I think it's time to do a little bit of homework. Hopefully you've already done exercise 10. That was actually from the last lesson, but it was cut off. For today, I would like you to do exercise 11. Okay. Tomorrow we'll continue with this, so if there's a question that you're stuck with, don't panic. Leave it, put a star by it. We'll come back to it tomorrow. A quick word of advice to you if you're studying or if you're doing homework. Anytime you come across a question that you're not sure of, that gives you trouble, that you got wrong, star it, because you need to go back to that before your test. Okay? We'll continue with the next lesson tomorrow.